What if a celebrity I like says or does the wrong thing? I think I've touched on this topic here and there throughout these videos. It's a question of whether I allow someone's opinions to affect my appreciation of their art. Of course, I'm not just talking about their opinions about pineapple on pizza, although if they refuse to have anchovies, that's marginal. No, I mean their opinions on more important issues: politics, religion, social issues, things that affect how we live together as people, issues that have a significant impact on people's lives. Is it possible to separate the art from the person? In one sense, of course it is. For example, I really like this painting by Edward Hopper. It's called Nighthawks. This is the original. You've probably seen modified copies that include celebrities such as James Dean and Marilyn Monroe. But this is the original, and I really like it. But I know absolutely nothing about Edward Hopper's life. I don't even know any of his other paintings. What if it turns out that Edward Hopper was a Nazi sympathiser, or that he was a paedophile? Would that mean I wouldn't like this painting anymore? No, I don't think it would. I'm prepared to admit that bad people can sometimes do good things, just as good people can sometimes do bad things. Would I buy that painting from them or a print of it if I thought that would benefit them financially? Maybe not. I'm not sure. I'll come to a more realistic example of that in a moment. But I do think I can like that painting regardless of the creator's morals or opinions or behaviour. There are other situations that are slightly more complex. J.K. Rowling comes to mind with her views on transgender issues and gender identity that she's been expressing in recent years. If I find her views objectionable, does that mean I shouldn't watch the Harry Potter movies or read the books? Should it mean especially that I don't buy the books? Well, it was my granddaughter's birthday recently, and she wanted the Harry Potter books. She'd just been reading the first one. I bought her the whole set. Now, I'm aware of the controversy around Rowling. Was I wrong to buy these books? I'm also aware, though, of the impact these books have had on one or two generations already, and how they've encouraged young people to read. Do the views Rowling now expresses undo this good? Am I at fault for contributing to her billions? Possibly. If I should have refrained from buying her books, what issues would be enough to trigger this response? Would it be enough if I found out that she voted for a Conservative government, even if she didn't express questionable views about gender? She may not express these views directly herself, but many of the people on that side of politics surely would. So would her support for that side of politics be enough to make it morally questionable to buy her books? What if she just happened to be good friends with someone else who voted Conservative, although I might not know anything about Rowling's own voting intentions? Would that affect my decision? I think my views on this may have been clearer if she'd previously expressed different views on this subject, views more in line with my own, but then had done or said something that contradicted these. In this case, part of my connection to Rowling may have been some shared values. Her expression of contrary values would then feel like something of a betrayal. In the case of Rowling, I didn't feel particularly let down or betrayed by her because I had previously not been aware of any of her beliefs about anything, so I had no preconceptions or expectations. Do I, though, have a moral responsibility to investigate the moral positions and opinions and the actions of any author I intend to read, any actor or director whose movies I intend to watch, any singer whose music I intend to listen to? I frankly don't think I can manage that. It's a different issue if the book that I'm reading itself seems to embrace questionable values. note that this is different from saying that one of the characters in the book expresses questionable views. Characters in books need to be allowed to express questionable opinions. They need to be able to murder people. This doesn't mean that the author or this particular book promotes such views or promotes murder. But if the book clearly seems to be advocating for a position that I regard as morally objectionable, I'm likely to stop reading it, and I certainly won't recommend it to someone else or buy it for someone else. Of course, the historical and cultural context of the author does have to be taken into account. I don't think we can expect a 19th century author to hold 21st century values. It also somewhat depends to what extent our connection with the artist concerned has become, in some sense, personal. I.e., we're responding to something about the artist as a person, some qualities that we perceive, rather than just to their work. I think we're more likely to do this with an art form where the person is clearly visible to us, as in cinema and music. I may like a person's music without knowing much about the person, or perhaps even knowing that they've expressed some views that I don't support. But there's also a chance that I come to feel that I know and like the person as a person, even though, obviously, I know that I don't really know them at all. But I think, rightly or wrongly, we do tend to have certain ideas based on the way the person behaves and perhaps even on the things they say. We do have certain ideas about their values, and we can come to identify with these. If they then express views or behave in certain ways that belie those values, then we're likely to feel betrayed, and that may taint our experience of their art. I think this is less of a moral decision than a visceral reaction. I might have the same reaction about other things too, things that might not be considered to be directly moral. For example, I might be disappointed in a singer that I like if I learn that they're a smoker. Of course, that's actually none of my business, and it may not harm anyone else, depending upon their behaviour, of course. But I know that I would feel disappointed. I can sense that disapproving, frowny face just below the surface. I was just reading about Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters. He's owned up to recently fathering a child outside his marriage of, I think, about 21 years. Many of his fans are expressing their disapproval and disappointment. I'm not a huge fan, and it's none of my business. It really doesn't bother me. In fact, I think it takes some courage to speak openly about this and to admit this failure, though that may also be a strategy designed to preempt a leak of this news. I'm well aware of that. But really, honestly, his unfaithfulness, his fathering of this child, it doesn't bother me at all. But, in some of the video footage that I saw of Dave Grohl, he was smoking, and I felt my frowny face take over. That bothered me. The smoking bothered me. Go figure. But perhaps what this illustrates is that our reaction to a celebrity that we perceive as having in some way betrayed our trust by expressing views or engaging in behaviour of which we don't approve, perhaps it isn't always the deeply moral reaction that we think it is.